Nice and simple today, my friends. Who won a WWE title in the shortest amounts of matches? Take your plug, let's plug in, and we go. Number 20, the Great Khali in the WWE World title. It only took the Great Khali 29 matches before he had that big gold belt. And the way he won it was totally ridiculous. Because it was on the 20th of July 2007 SmackDown where we did have a vacated title. For some reason, Vince McMahon went, well, I think we must decide this with a battle royal. And of course, that was madly unfair. The Great Khali was massive. Who the flub was going to throw him out? After this too, Khali just worked squash matches until we tried to do a feud with The Undertaker. Listen, don't take it from me. You could hear Mark Calloway talk about it in his own podcast. I don't think you would call these the best. Number 19, Brock Lesnar in the WWE title. And he did it in only 23 matches. I mean, do you remember that super push he got in 2002? It's flubbing ridiculous. I mean, Brock Lesnar totally killed the Hardy Boys when he first turned up. And if you can believe it, 4 months later, he was main eventing SummerSlam when he defeated The Rock and he got that special whoopa-doopa belt. You also have to point out that Brock Lesnar was also undefeated on TV, like he lost a load of matches via disqualification against Rob Van Dam, but that always meant that RVD was left laying on the floor, basically dead. So I don't think you can use that against Brock. He was given the mega push out of the gates, and well, listen, still kind of going strong now. Number 18, Kurt Angle in the TNA World title. It only took 21 matches for Kurt to get to the top of TNA, but this was the right decision. When he did debut, nobody could believe this. It was a proper, well, how the hell did that happen? And if you weren't going to make him your top guy, the hell were you playing at? His debut was on the 16th of November 2006 Impact, and yes, by 2007 Sacrifice pay-per-view, he was already in the main event, where he walked away with the championship. He also beat Sting and Christian Cage in a 3-way here, so there was no going back. Listen, many people say that Kurt Angle's run in TNA was better than his WWE stuff. There's a debate to be had. Number 17, Sheamus in the WWE title. So another guy that only took 21 matches, and I remember this, because from nowhere, the Irishman was put against John Cena, and he walked away with that belt, and everybody freaked out. Now this was a TLC 2009, and remember, John Cena didn't actually lose here. He just fell through a table. And look, that was basically fine. It was basically okay, but I still think we did Sheamus dirty here. We didn't get behind it properly. Given that Sheamus was on ECW though, he only had 5 matches on Raw before he took on Big Match John. I think that's bloody terrific. Number 16, CM Punk and the AEW World title. So let's not get into all of the madness, but as we all know, CM Punk's first match did happen in September 2021 when we got to the All Out pay-per-view when he took on Darby Allin. Jump forward to Double or Nothing 2022 when he was toppling Hangman Adam Page to win that there championship. And yes, everything else just went crazy. I don't want to talk about it, but he did do this in 20 matches. But once again, if AEW hadn't have tried this, they would have been totally crazy. Let's just move on. Number 15, Goldberg and the WWE title. Now actually, this was a total mess, because by the time that WWE had finally belted up Goldberg, they had totally ruined his character on television. I mean, why do you think he went away for 13 years? Still, it only took him 15 matches from when he did debut at Backlash 2003 to take out The Rock when we finally got a few months down the line and he faced Triple H to win that big old gold belt. But then he lost it, like 2 months later. I don't want to talk about this ever again. WWE did everything they could to sabotage Bill. Surprise, surprise, it worked. 14, Vince McMahon and the WWF title. So this one kind of has a bunch of asterisks next to it, but at the end of the day, if we do count Vince McMahon's matches until he did crown himself the champion, it only clocks in at 14. Now, technically, his first match came in April 1999, where he had that faux fight against Steve Austin, when Austin had one hand tied behind his back. Now that ended in a no contest, but we still got the ding ding ding. Jump forward to the 16th of September 1999 SmackDown though, and once again via shenanigans, Vince McMahon defeated Triple H for the WWE title. Don't know why I'm laughing. One of the stupidest things they ever did. McMahon never lost this title either because he vacated it. Next one, number 13, Kane and the WWF title. So obviously Kane debuted at the October 1997 Bad Blood pay-per-view where he ripped the door off the Hell in a Cell. And then within 13 matches, he was the champ. Everybody forgets about this too, but it happened a few months later at the King of the Ring 1998, where he did defeat Stone Cold Steve Austin in a First Blood match. Remember that? He had that voice box. The blood on you this Sunday will be for real. It was weird. But of course, no one talks about that because it was like that Mankind got thrown off the top of that cage. Also within 24 hours, Steve had won the belt back. What are you gonna do? Number 12, Ric Flair and the WWF title. 12 matches! That's all it took after the Nature Boy had jumped ship from WCW. And when he did arrive in late 1991, he still had WCW's world title belt, because as we talked about before, he had fallen out with WCW management, and they owed him $25,000, which is the deposit you had to put down for this title. And as nobody was going to give it back to him, Flair just turned up on WWF TV with this damn thing. Now that got the company in legal hot water, which man started a domino chain of events. But when we got to the Royal Rumble in 1992 and we did have a vacated title, Vince went, all right, well, we've lost that one. Let's just give the WWE Championship to Flair. And he did. Given that he did debut on the 29th of September 1991 though, and of course the Royal Rumble came in early 1992, this happened so fast. But if you were a hardcore fan, you weren't the least bit surprised. I mean, it was Ric Flair, number 11, Bronbreaker in the NXT title. Can you believe he only did this in 9 matches? I think I forgot. Now, some people like to pretend the NXT World Champion doesn't mean anything just because it does change hands all the time, but that's the point of the developmental system. And listen, if Bron walks in the door and everyone agrees this is the guy, then you're making the guy deserves a shout out. He had only had 9 TV scraps though until we got to New Year's Evil in January 2022 when Breaker did indeed defeat Tommaso Ciampa, and now he was the guy. Guess who one of the people he beat during these matches were too? It was LA Knight. So there you go. Number 10, Vince Russo and the WCW title. 8 matches. 8 matches before we killed WCW for good. Now, despite saying that he would never appear on WCW TV, Vince Russo made him a mainstay of Nitro. And in September 2000, where he was taking on Booker T in a cage match, he got thrown out of the cage, but given the rules, he did hit the floor. So now he was the champion. Look at my face, this sucked. He was another guy that never lost this either, because he vacated it 1 week later. Just makes me mad. Number 9, Karrion Kross in the NXT title. So we are back once again with the Renegade Master, but Karrion totally smashed Bronbreaker. He did this in 7. And this was because Triple H knew exactly how he wanted to book Kross, which was as an absolute machine. So come May 2020, he absolutely killed Leon Ruff in a match when he was chasing down the title. That was at TakeOver XXX as well when he did beat Keith Lee. Listen, you can't really fault this push. When Karrion Kross was the champion, I remember thinking, well, nobody can beat that guy. Then it all kind of went a bit strange. But once again, you just got to get what you're given. Number 8, Rio in the AEW Women's title. Because Rio did this in 5. I never realized that. This was right after Tony Khan did introduce the women's title in October 2019. And the match was Rio versus Nyla Rose. Rio got the victory. And yeah, if you do some quick maths, you're like, oh my gosh, we can count the amount of fights she's had so far on one hand. This is the beauty of having a brand new promotion. You just gotta pull some triggers. As we know too, Rio's run in AEW has always kind of been hampered due to visas issues and the fact she lives in Japan. But I stand on this even in 2024, the right thing to do. Number 7, Ethan Page and the NXT title. I love this one. It made me so damn happy. 4 matches. And this was so crazy, because in February 2024, Ethan Page was on Ring of Honor doing his own thing, which was interesting, but not being highlighted, when he left the company, and yes, from nowhere, he debuted in NXT. We then get to NXT Battleground in June, so only a few months later, and Ethan Page was able to defeat Trick Williams. And I just want to tell you this, ever since then, I think he has been doing tremendous work. We ain't stopping here, friends. You wait until he does get that call up. He is going to show us all. Number 6, Mick Foley in the TNA title. He followed Ethan Page's lead. He also did it in 4. Now, never forget that Mick Foley never wanted to join TNA, or at least he was 50-50 on it, but after trying to do guest commentary for WWE and getting so mad at Vince McMahon yelling in his ear, he left the company and thought, you know what? I'm not ready to retire. I'm going to TNA. He did indeed debut in January 2009 when he fought against the main event Mafia because he didn't want them to win. And I suppose that put him in a right top spot. So after only a few matches in April, we went to the Lockdown pay-per-view and it was Foley versus Sting. And in somewhat of a surprise, Foley won. But I remember always being very pleased about this because Mick Foley was never truly treated as the top guy. And he had all the tools to do so. Number 5, Ronda Rousey in the WWE Women's title. So that's another one. Ronda clocks in at 4. She won this at SummerSlam 2018, and yes, she'd only worked a handful of matches before this, and that's because we were treating Ronda Rousey as a special attraction, but as she told you, her best match was always her debut at WrestleMania 34, because there WWE let her practice and train and rehearse all this, whereas for the rest of them, she was kind of thrown out there before she was ready. What are you gonna do? I said it again. Call the Ghostbusters. Number 4, David Arquette and the WCW title. He did this in 2 matches. Now I want to make it very clear. The Vince Russo one was worse than this, and also David Arquette has always been so polite about this occasion. The dude sounds like he respects wrestling very much. His first match did come in April 2000 on Nitro though, where he had a celebrity fight against Eric Bischoff, and nobody cared about this. In fact, if anything else, it was just a bit of fun. 24 hours later though, when WCW was doing their Thunder taping and a tag match, somebody had the idea to make David Arquette the world champion. And I know, you're now going, wait a minute, he became champion during a tag match? Yes, he did. So the next time people go, why did WCW die? This is probably like Exhibit D, but it still counts. Number 3, Pentagon Jr. and the TNA title. Because good old Penta did it in one. Now it was called the Impact World Championship at the time, but you know what I'm talking about. But Penta walked into the promotion. He was put in a match with Brother Phoenix and Austin Aries. When he did leave, he had gold. Now technically it wasn't an official debut because Impact and Lucha Underground had a joint show a month before this, but nobody cares about that. By the time we did get to the Redemption show, I'm not sure anybody had picked Penta. We were all totally wrong. 48 hours later, he did lose the belt back to Austin Aries, but that was for a tape show, but still. This was very much done, I think, to kind of pop the internet, as they say. I suppose it worked. We're still talking about it today. Number 2, Gail Kim and the WWE Women's Championship. Now, Gail Kim was not booked right by the WWE. If you go listen to some of her stories, you should rightfully be appalled. We did have a battle royal in June 2003, though, to crown a brand new women's champion, which Gail Kim did win. But again, if you want to go on Cage Match and see what she's doing before this, she had a bunch of fights on house shows, but you can't call them fights because they were essentially like bra and panties matches. It's embarrassing. She only held this belt for about a month before she dropped it to Molly Holly, but listen to the names I'm talking about right now. If they were in current WWE, I tell you this, they would be having banger after banger after banger. Number 1, the Giant and the WCW title. So you knew that WCW was going to push the future Big Show hard, because when he came in as the Giant, everyone was like, yeah, these guys related to Andre the Giant. That was the story too when he arrived in 1995, because he was like, listen to me, Hulk Hogan, I am going to get revenge for Andre. Fair play to him, he lived up to his word. Because at Halloween Havoc, he actually beat the Hulkster. And I can't even believe this today, and I'm talking in 2024. It was shenanigans, because that sums up World Championship Wrestling, because Jimmy Hart had decided the belt could change hands in a DQ, but look, at least for the first year, it actually felt like we were going to do huge things with Paul White, and it all kind of petered out. But still, if you debut and win the World Championship in your first match, can't really say better than that. Now you probably don't know anymore, but if there are some other quick championship changes we should be talking about, drop it in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then click the video on the screen where I shall give you some more wrestling trivia, but otherwise, my friends, I appreciate you joining me, and I'll see you soon.